Rev up your engines!
Well, the CEO of Volkswagen says the roof is on fire at Volkswagen. He's not meaning the literal roof, the theoretical roof of the whole company. He says there's tough times ahead because they're still putting a bunch of money into gasoline and diesel engines, yet they're trying to electrify. And a few weeks ago, they had to shut down the production of the ID.4 in Germany because they had too many of them that they couldn't sell. Now, the literal crap is starting to hit the fan, right? Even in Germany, in Europe. Let's face the facts. There's so many people are going to buy these electric cars, right? They keep churning them out if nobody buys them. We got too many of these beanie babies. I guess you're going to have to stop selling them or really lower the price, right? Well, the same thing is starting to happen with electric cars already. Here is what the CEO of Volkswagen says. We are letting the costs run too high in many areas. The roof is on fire. What do they say? You can't burn the candle at both ends, right? Because it burns twice as fast. And it doesn't work that well when both ends are burning. Believe you me, there's going to be a giant shakedown of all these car companies in the next few years. It's the ones, if they bet on electric cars and they don't pan out, down they're going to go. Why do you think Ford, GM, they're getting all these government subsidies for electric batteries and electric cars? They don't want to gamble with their own money. They want to gamble with our taxpayer dollars. But wouldn't it be nice if the government gave you a few $billion? Oh, I think I'll try this new business here, right? Let's say, could you give me the money, and I'll pay it back if I make a whole bunch of money, but if I don't, well, too bad, I'll go bankrupt and you won't get your money back. Face the facts. It's governance for the corporations these days. Perhaps in Germany, it's not as closely tied in, right? Because he said, the roof's on fire at Volkswagen, right? Maybe the German government is going to bail them out. Maybe they're more business-like than they're over here. It's just the corporations putting money in the politicians' back pockets whenever something goes on. Oh, General Motors is too big to go bankrupt. It's bad for the country, so let's give them a whole bunch of money. Let's give Chrysler a whole bunch of money. No, they're too big to go bankrupt. The little guys can go bankrupt all they want, but the big guys know. They got the politicians in their back pockets and they bailed them out, right? Well, I'm always whining to people about, you really don't want a small turbocharged engine. Well, guy Eric, he got a 1-liter turbocharged GDI Ford engine. He tore it down and showed what a piece of crap it was. Now, this engine won all kinds of awards in Europe, They give awards to the greatest design before they're driven on the road for, 100,000 miles and they blow up and explode, right? It just amazes me. I guess one of them, a couple of years ago, I believe, Rivian, right? The company's almost bankrupt. But, it's car of the year. It's car of the year. Don't ever listen to journalists talking about cars. They know not what they speak of. Listen to mechanics will tell you the truth. Well, this mechanic Eric, he tore down this blown engine and he found, and I've already warned people of this, and the idiot could figure this out, those 1-liter turbocharged EcoBoost Ford engines that have 3 cylinders. Right? They have a rubber timing belt, but it's bathed in oil. What a stupid idea, right? Well, he found out that the teeth had come off on the belt. That's one of the reasons it broke. They said, oh no, we make these belts great. They can be soaked in oil. They won't decompose. Well, this one decomposed, right? It's got a rubber timing belt and it's bathed in oil. Now, what moron came up with this idea? You want a belt, you run it dry. That's why they made the belts, right? You want it wet, get a chain. Chains love being immersed in oil. It lubricates chains. They last longer that way, right? But these idiots come up with, let's put a rubber timing belt in and we'll soak it in oil. Yeah, let's see what happens. Well, what happens is they break. And another thing he found when he tore the engine apart is that the crank, it wasn't even keyed. It's a press-on, the cheapest way you can make it. Now, the way you want it right is you got a crankshaft, and the crankshaft at the end has a little divot hole in it. Then there is a key that goes in there. Then the crank sprocket slides over it. So that key sticks into the sprocket on an indentation in the sprocket. Tight, right? You put the bolt on, it's not going to move. Well, Ford, let's save us some money here, people. Let's just press that on. And you know what happens to press stuff? They become on-pressed, they slip, they don't stay. If you have a key and a sprocket that has a hole in it that fits over the key, believe you me, it'll last forever if you take care of it. But a pressed-on one, eventually they slip and they stop working. It's just to make them cheap. That's Ford's whole thing. Let's make them as cheap as we can. That key, man, it costs us 50 cents a vehicle. Forget making it good with a key, we'll just press it on. And forget a metal timing chain, it costs a lot of money to make. Let's put a rubber belt and soak it in oil and see what happens, The funny thing is, as of 2025, they're going to discontinue these engines. They're not going to make them anymore. But if you bought one, guess what? You're the one who got screwed over by Ford by buying one of their crappy designs that doesn't work very well. And then they say, oh, well, we screwed up. We won't make those anymore. The press release say, we got evap leak P1457, 2009 Odyssey. Smoke leaked many times, nothing was found. Replaced everything, including the factory $60 cap. Not replaces the fuel neck, which is $1,200. One, start with a better mechanic. If they smoke tested it, they should have smoke tested the fuel tank and the fuel tank neck. That's part of the smoke testing. Now, the problem with evap codes are, the evap systems are relatively complex. They check vacuum pumps, they check a tank, they check lines, they check the evap canister, but they do it by opening and closing solenoids. The only way you can truly test that evap system is having a guy like me with a really high-level scan tool where you got to open and close the vents and the valves and say, oh, maybe this one's leaking, maybe that. Because if they just did a static stick a smoke machine on it, it's not leaking. It could be that those valves are closed now, and then when you open it up, it's leaking in that section. It's complex crap. It really is. And the guy you were using obviously doesn't understand it. Find a better mechanic if you need to fix it. See, here in Tennessee, we wouldn't care. They don't do emissions testing, so it's got that code. Nobody cares. We just keep driving them. Maybe move to Tennessee. There's a lot of states that don't do emissions testing too. Taj says, my diesel Mercedes broke down at $250,000. There's metal debris in the engine oil. Mechanic says it's wear and tear in the crankshaft. What do you think? Well, you're not going to know till you tear it down and see. If there's metal down in there, metal it came from somewhere, and it's 250,000 mile diesel engine, you're not going to know till you tear it down. How much money do you want to put into that thing? I mean, with all metal debris, it could destroy just about everything inside that car. Everything. The block could be all scored. You wouldn't know until it was torn down. See what he's going to charge you to tear it down and give you an estimate, or look at what a new rebuilt engine from Germany, where they still rebuild them, costs. You might be better off going with a totally rebuilt engine and just forgetting yours. Sean North said, I'm looking at some rusty Miatas. I noticed many of them have large bits of rust. How much rust is too much? Well, very good question. First thing you want to do is jack it up in the air and look under it. If you see the frame is rusted, run away. Those are what are called unibody frames. They don't have a frame and the body bolted on. It's all one piece, all welded together. If it's rusted on the frame, don't buy it, right? Then you wouldn't even want to mess with it. Now, a lot of them, as you say, will rust. Let's say the bottom frame isn't rusted, but it's only on the wheel wells. Well, that's superficial, but it looks ugly as can be. Realize, in that case, don't pay much for the car. It still might drive quite well. But to fix that, you have to cut off all the rust and either put new metal, or if it's on the fenders, buy new fenders, bolt them on, and get the car repainted. Because if you're one of those people that thinks, oh, I'll just, sand it down a little, put some Bondo and then paint it. One, it's probably not going to look that good, and two, the Bondo's going to fall off because it's rusty and it's going to continue to rust forever. Rust, you have to cut out, kind of like cancer in a person. You got to cut it out, because if you leave it and just cover it up, that isn't going to fix anything in the long run. It'll just come right back through again. But if you're getting an old one, it's a toy, and you don't mind, it's got a little rust around the fenders, and you don't care, you can drive it around that way for quite some time. Or if you want it done right, you can go to any body shop and say, what would it cost me to have you cut out the rust, fill it all in, and paint it? And then you'll know how much money you'll have to spend to make it look good. But if the frame's rusted, run away. Well, the Biden administration wants to cancel student debt, right? Legislators wouldn't let him do his original plan for millions of people, so now here's his new plan. They said they're going to give $39 billion in student debt. They're going to just wipe it out so they don't have to pay it for 804,000 borrowers. But you young kids out there, you think he's going to pay your student loan debt off? Start dreaming again, because old Sleepy Joe has got something up his sleeve, and here is the technical. You might think, $39 billion, all those people, he's going to pay my student debts. Here's what it's for. And I quote, borrowers get any remaining debt canceled by the government after they have made payments for either 20 years or 25 years, depending on when they borrowed, their loan type and plan type. Read the fine print. So, you're going to have to wait until you paid for yours for 20 or 25 years. So let's say you graduated 2 years ago. It's going to take you 18 or 23 years before this plan is going to affect you. This is for the older people who have paid for 20 or 25 years on their loan, right? And they're going to forgive that debt. Not you young people who may have voted for him and thought, oh, he's going to help us out. Well, guess what? He's not going to be helping you guys out, because you got to pay for 20 or 25 years before you get a debt. At least that makes some sense. If somebody's been paying their student loan 20 to 25 years, right, they probably paid quite a bit of money. Okay, that sounds fair to me. But not this, what they were hoping for, that millions of them, we'll just cancel it all and you'll never be responsible for any of the loans you took out. No, read the fine print, people. As I always say, follow the money. And in this case, you have to have been paying on that loan for 20 to 25 years. So you youngins that just got out of college, he's not going to be helping you out any. Don't ever listen to what politicians promise, because what comes out of their mouths is platitudes and baloney. In this case, follow the money. It's not going to affect you people at all. Only the people who've been paying for 20 to 25 years. When you get to the reality of a situation, you'll find out the promises are all BS, and the hard facts of the world are the government likes giving its money to giant corporations, and then the little people, it'll do that old trickle-down economics theory, where the rich trickle down on the people below them. Don't think there's a free lunch from these guys unless you're a corporation. Then it's free lunch every day. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.